welcome to this edition of At the Mic. I'm your host, Keith Malinak. This week, I sit down with Todd Erzen. Todd is a big part of the Steve Deace Show, which follows Glenn Beck on the Blaze TV network every day. Our conversation about his life is next. First, Calvin Coolidge Month at American Pride Roasters Coffee is coming to a close. You're running out of time to save on that 3-pound box that they're offering at $5 off. It's the Silent Cow Blend, featuring that smooth and bold South American coffee mixture. My goodness, it is the perfect coffee. Right now, the 3-pound box is going for just $40. And so head over there to aprcoffee.com. Don't forget, type in promo code ATM, stands for At the Mic, ATM at checkout, and you'll get an additional 10% off of your purchase. Calvin Coolidge was a beloved American president. He helped slash the federal budget while drastically reducing taxes. Can you imagine an American president trying to do that today? Let aprcoffee.com save you money in Coolidge's honor right now. Get to aprcoffee.com, offer code ATM. Try that aromatic Coolidge blend today.
You're listening to At the Mic with Keith, an independent podcast production.
Todd Erzen is this week's guest on At the Mic. Today, he and I discuss the state of the nation, his passion for baseball, and his umpiring gigs. But he also tells us about the time he got arrested. That chat begins right now, right here on At the Mic. Joined by Todd Erzen of the Steve Deace program, who is on afternoons on Blaze TV, the Blaze Radio Network. Todd, thanks so much, man. I'm glad we could finally make this work out.
Yeah, it's a privilege to be asked. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, right out of the gate, when we are taping this conversation, your daughter has reason to celebrate. I want you to brag on her for being a state champion. Congratulations to the family.
Thank you very much. It's as a grizzled, bitter 48-year-old man, it's the closest thing you can come to being like a kid on Christmas, to see the shared joy of opening up presents, all the hard work that that your daughter puts into it. It's absolutely it's something that in that moment, and we had a listener of our show, unbeknownst to me, sitting right behind us, who took a picture of me cheering and then shared those pictures with us, just as Ainsley, my oldest daughter, she's just finishing up her junior year in high school, crossed the finish line to win her second state title. My cup runneth over.
That's cool, man.
It just an awesome day.
It is so great to see our children succeed. So congratulations to the entire family. And you mentioned, is she your oldest daughter or?
No, she's my oldest of 4 daughters. Yes.
4 daughters. That's what I wanted to ask you. My gosh, yeah. Because Ainsley, she's 17. You have a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 10-year-old. There's going to be, I think, check my math on this, there's probably going to be a moment in there where you have 4 teenage daughters all at once, right? Or at least very close to it.
Very close to that. I know.
Have you?
I know. Now it's just life to me now. Honestly, I don't know at the tail end there. I mean, we always planned on having a family roughly this size, so it wasn't keep trying for a boy or anything like that. I'm not sure though how much I'd even know what to do with a boy at this point. My girls are pretty easy. I mean, there's a lot of autopilot. They all want to succeed. There's no begging of doing homework so far. I haven't had any crazy boy problems. I'm sure I'm going to be coming to you and everybody else at the Blaze, passing a cup around on my next trip to Dallas for future wedding issues. But other than that, it's been a cool ride being the dad of. Here's the best way I can put it is, if you would have told me before having kids, would I feel any tinge of regret for not having a son? Before that, I probably would have said yes, because I'm a guy. I grew up playing catch in the yard. I had a brother, stuff like. But there's never. I count it as a grace of God. I've never felt that once. It's great. Just a blessing to have the 4 girls I have.
See, I mean, you can pass that cup around the Blaze, but I've got 2 teenage daughters myself, and a son in between.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah. And my son in between, who is very proficient with guns. I would like all potential suitors of my daughters to be aware of. But
attaboy.
He's my oldest is 18, my youngest is 13. So I'm right there with you with having the teenage girls, but you've got double the fun as far as expenses and having to fight off boys at some point. So more power to you. I'll be the one coming to you for advice more than likely.
We'll compare notes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you and your wife, Jill, been married for 18 years. How awesome is that, man?
Oh yeah, yes. And our anniversary is tomorrow.
Oh,
yeah. Thank you for hitting the memory button on that one for me, Keith.
Did you already get something, or do you still have to go shopping? Or
no, that's still in the works. Still in the works. Still in the planning stages. Yeah, I mean, she's good, and there's no trapdoors on this thing, so
cool.
I'll come through in the end.
Awesome.
No, it's she's why I live in Iowa. I'm a Wisconsin guy. She's an Iowa girl. She was the maid of honor in a wedding. I was attending at the wedding, and 6 months after meeting, I proposed, and one of us had to go, and here I am working on the Steve Deace Show.
That is so cool, because you were born and raised in Madison, Wisconsin. Went to the University of Wisconsin. Could you guys take it easy on Nebraska going forward, please?
Apparently not. Apparently not.
So that's cool. And you live in Iowa, and you didn't originally just move there working for Steve Deace. You were actually working alongside him, right, at the Des Moines Register? Is that how that worked out?
Well, we actually missed each other at the Register. He worked there, left the year before I arrived, and he had begun his early sports career in Des Moines. And so I had just moved into Des Moines, and I started at the Des Moines Register, where I worked for 12 years, and every year that went by, it got more ridiculous and more contentious.
What kind of stuff did you have to report on there at what was your beat, I guess?
I actually started off, I don't have a journalism degree, and thank God for that, because I don't know what happens in those places, but nothing good. I started in the editorial department as just an assistant editor, editing letters to the editor and some minor design, which I'm utterly unfit for, and then I got a community news reporting job, and I worked my way up as high as my personal worldview would allow, because I enjoyed the conversations amongst people who believe differently than me, which is almost everybody there. But when I started there, it still had the decay. It was happening, but it still looked and felt like an old school newsroom. And I wasn't threatened by the sharing of ideas, but a lot of people there were, and it only got worse and worse and worse. So I was capped. In my 12-year career, I saw people who started after me and were considerably younger breeze right past me, because they were more than ready and willing to say the sacred shibboleths, even if they didn't fully believe them. And then by the end of 12 years, that we had this sorting hat that was like reapply. It was literally, you had to reapply for this cast of new jobs that, oh no, I know. So, and I was finally out, which is what they wanted to do to me for a very long time. They just finally saw the right opportunity.
Wow. So my experience is a little different at the newspaper. I worked for like a Metro Atlanta newspaper as a sports writer. I left in a huff as well, but probably for completely different reasons. That's just
well, there's so many good reasons to leave in a huff from a newspaper, no matter where you are.
Oh my goodness. So I love how your dream job as a kid, which was my dream job as a kid as well, and so many others, that we thought, man, I'm gonna grow up and play professional baseball. Maybe you didn't think that you were gonna play baseball. I was just completely delusional. But you at least wanted to be involved with professional baseball on some level. I don't know if it was as a player, but I do know that you eventually went to umpire school and was a minor league umpire. That is awesome, dude.
I loved it, and I'm so glad I checked that box in my life, because it when I go back to a baseball game, we have the I-Cubs here, the Iowa Cubs, the AAA affiliate of the Chicago Cubs. And it doesn't happen anymore. But when I first moved here, I would see guys coming through at the AAA level, and it takes a while to get just to that level.
Yeah.
And I went to school in 95, umpire school in 95. And they were, so by the time early 2000s, they were finally getting to AAA. And I'd have a tinge of, what could have been for maybe an inning. And then I would start eating my brat and drinking my beer and looking at my wife and my kids and saying, no, I'm good. But I knew I started umpiring when I was 13 years old. That's when you could, as a Little League umpire, where I grew up playing Little League, and you would do the minor leagues. You would be 13 and you would do the 9 and 10-year-olds. And I absolutely loved it. All the reasons kids who are, and I was a mediocre baseball player all the way through, and kids who were better than me in baseball, but would have all these excuses about what, these people yell at me. I loved it. I thrived off of it.
That's what I wanted
shouldn't probably shock you.
I wanted to ask you.
It's why I'm doing what I am now. I think I just thrive on the energy. I'm not afraid. It's not a bad thing to be passionate. If you've watched, I hate instant replay in baseball.
Interesting.
Absolutely. It's taken all of the notions of get the call right. We've turned this into a robotic, emotionless bit of nonsense. If I was king for a day, I would take instant replay out of all sports, but particularly baseball. This notion of now walking out to the mound and never not arguing a point, just let's go to, and they still don't get it right, and super slow motion on a bang bang play has nothing to do with reality. The real game happens at the speed of life. I think a lot of the need to get everything right in sports tells you a lot about who we are as a culture and how we're losing our humanity. It's just instinctively wrong to me to need that call to be at first base, an eyelash of out or safe, and you can't live with the fact that it may have been right or wrong. No, we need to learn how we need to argue with each other, and it's okay. And then we go back and then we start playing the game again. That's life. Right now, this whole cancel culture thing is our total inability to do that. And for whatever reason, God gave me this gift early on. I found it through umpiring, and now I do this through the outlet of media, where the real passion, the real stuff of life comes out, and I'm trying to raise kids who also 4 daughters who understand that they aren't afraid of the stage. They want to go out and remember George Washington when he was a young general in the French of Indian War, and the first time he been shot at, and of course he didn't get shot. He may have had a different quote, but he came away not limping and breathing oxygen, and he said, "There's something charming in the sound, I must say." We're taking that away with this stupid instant replay in baseball. And I mean, look at this show. You and I are lucky, the world we're lucky enough to work in the Blaze. We come here and people see we're passionate, we argue, but we're having fun. This is good stuff. We're not the bitter shrews at CNN or MSNBC. We enjoy the stuff of life. And I found enjoying the stuff of life in baseball, having that other seat. I knew I would never be able to enjoy that long as a player, and I just found another avenue of doing it.
Yeah, well, see, I'm surprised that was your take on instant replay, because you read my mind. That was going to be my question, because as professional baseball goes more and more toward robots than umpires. I mean, the strike zone that they're messing with in the minors. Are you against that as well? You want every element to be human, correct?
Oh yeah, this is a cancer on the great thing that is baseball. Yeah, robotic strike zones. These are fighting words for me, Keith. I mean, we're digging in here.
But see, the other side of that, I would come back with, and I would just say Angel Hernandez. I would just say Sam Holbrook. I would just say, you could possibly. Are
you a Tigers fan?
I am not. I'm a Braves fan.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to see how personal it was. No, because I understand. No, but here's the thing. There's a fix on this, but this is my point. And when we end up talking about other things here within the time we were sharing together, and why we wrote a book about Fauci and Barker, this expert knowledge that if we've just finally roll the bones the right way, we will get to nirvana. It can all be right. It can't be right if you take the people out of the people. I mean, that's the thing. If we make ourselves less as human beings and autopilot with technology, that's going to come off the rails sooner or later. There's an answer to the Angel, and the Tigers pitcher, perfect game ruined by the out safe call at first base. Mm-hmm. But there's a way around that, and it is that if it would have to be umpire imposed. But if it's not just about one guy, if it's about 4 guys and their reputation, especially with and then there's always a crew chief, but there should be moments in a game that and normally every umpire is supposed to come together on a rule violation or something like that. But even on a judgment call, on something like that, there is no reason. And right now, it's not part of in any way you're trained to be an umpire. They would never do it on a judgment call, but they should. What? Just get together, you guys. Did I totally blow that? What did you see? And if you are overruled,
okay,
do it. Everybody else would have said, thank God that was present in that situation. And no one ever talks about that. And every time I bring it up, it never gains any purchase with anybody. To me, that is the obvious solution and not robot strike zones.
Okay. Well, I mean, does it not? And I see, because I don't know if you can tell yet, I love instant replay. I love getting it right. And as a Braves fan,
don't.
Hold on a second, but I would like to see, and I just sent you an email, so you can check your email after this interview if you would like to see.
You and I will be talking about this till we're dead in the ground, I can tell. And I love it.
I would take you to the wild card game between the Cardinals and Braves. Cardinals won the World Series that year, and I contend they shouldn't have even made it out of the wild card game in Atlanta. I want your response. Once you get a chance to see it privately, you can reply to me. Or we could take this fight to Twitter. But an infield fly rule that was the stupidest thing. It was in left field. And my point is, I don't know that a computer, I don't know that the rules would be written as such. I don't think that that's a reviewable play in Major League Baseball today. I mean, that was 9 years ago before we had it. But I think that it really lessens the chance of someone being corrupt because, as you and I both very well know, that the world is filled with corrupt individuals. And you could see something like that infiltrating. We don't have to spend the whole time talking about baseball, instant replay, robotic umps, but I just think there's some sort of fine balance there between human and computer. No?
But a computer or an instant replay, why would that not have also been solved by the same?
No, you're right. If they had gotten together. Yes, exactly. Yes. Somebody should have overturned that. Precisely.
Yeah. And I think there's real life happens at the speed of real life, and these coming out, and in any sport, we forgot in football what a catch actually was because of instant replay.
No, that's a fair point. That's your best argument so far, as far as I'm concerned.
It's made us dumber. It's made us less instinctive, and these sports are supposed to be ultimately about instincts and the speed and the ferocity, and then we turn it into this nerdish, super slow-mo, and it doesn't smell, touch, feel anything. Doesn't feel like the sport to me.
I tell you what the solution is to all of this. It's
more drinking.
Well, okay, yes, A, that's absolutely true, and B, you coming to Dallas, and we go to a Rangers game someday. Okay.
Man, we just
sit there and we just talk baseball and rules the entire afternoon and don't even enjoy the new ballpark.
Well, Aaron's wife, our producer, needs to comply with this, but I don't know if you know, Steve and I are coming down in August because Aaron's going to be a dad, and so we're going to come down and do the show again down there.
Okay.
So, but we don't know exactly when because it depends on when the baby was born. So hopefully the Rangers schedule and that all falls together.
I was just about to say, you're absolutely right. She needs to have a talk with that kid right now. And it needs to be around when there are afternoon games.
Focus, Bella. Focus.
I'm looking at the schedule right now, as a matter of fact. Okay. So, We've got so much ground to cover. In your large family, in your house, it doesn't just stop with you, the wife, and 4 daughters. You guys are busting at the seams with pets too. Tell us about how crowded does that house get?
Three dogs. I do have a dude dog now.
Oh.
Yes. So there's one, and I have a dude guinea pig. My youngest, we had our oldest dog, Olive. She's probably going on 9 years old now. So we've had her for a while. But then my youngest, who actually you said she's the 10-year-old you mentioned, she just turned 11 yesterday. And she's this animal lover. And so she wanted some, Olive is a bigger kind of lavish dog. She wanted some small dogs, some, cuddle dogs. So we found these two that were bonded together, and I came up from Houston from flooding there. I don't know how they ended up there, but they're perfect for us. They really sweet, so the girls love them. And then also a guinea pig came into the picture at some point. I don't remember how I lost control of my life on that front, but I had 4 girls. That's how I lost control of my life on that front.
Absolutely, that's the answer right there. How many pets total do you have now?
We have 4 pets.
Okay,
3 dogs and a guinea pig.
Just don't let them outnumber you. That's the key. Because
I think by law I can't anymore. I think we're maxed out here in Iowa. Maybe I can get 1 more dog, but I don't think that's going to happen.
See,
she's moved on to cats. Under no circumstances, there will never be a cat in the Erzen household. No.
Okay. Well, see, we've got our ratio is 5 to 5. 5 humans, 5 animals. So your ratio is much more sane than ours. It's 6 to 4. That's for sure.
And are they dogs? Are they cats? What are they?
2 dogs, 2 birds, and a rabbit. So
wow.
It's a little, there's some issues there.
Some menagerie there. Excellent.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I want to just go to baseball real quick here again. I don't want to spend the whole time on it, but as an umpire, are there any memorable moments that stick out where you, as the umpire, were arguing with a manager or a player or someone in the stands? Anything that sticks out from your memory in all of your time? Because even today, you're still umpiring high school baseball, correct?
Yeah, I didn't have any. I only did it for 1 season in the minors, and I got offered a job to come back. And I did realize, meeting the other umpires, both in my class and the ones ahead of me, who you'd run into, that their version of what a whole life meant was not as broad as mine was, and that sooner I was never going to be able to leave my wife and kids behind. I didn't even meet my wife for years, but I just saw it coming sooner or later, and I had other boxes to check. Minor leagues, I didn't have any craziness. The ones now in high school are more funny, because there's these. And the coaches don't necessarily know my background. I mean, most high school umpires did not umpire minor league baseball. They didn't go to professional umpire school. They do a fine job. I've been there and I've done that. And some of these guys, these coaches come out and they think they're a big league umpire and they just want to put on some silly show. And again, I'm wired differently. Like they realize really quickly, no, see all those fans in the stands, I promise you're going to get more embarrassed by this than you think you're going to embarrass me with some nonsense. I mean, there's some little yapper last year who just started in the first inning of a game where I'm calling balls and strikes instantly. Where's that? And I just time out in front of everybody and just make sure, because, especially when they're embarrassed in front of their high school young men and their players,
right?
That makes an impact on them. And I just address them right there. And see, you have more power. I have way more power now to do that. And in the pro game, it's just live grenades. There's with everything with sportsmanship, the example that they're supposed to be setting for young men. I mean, I've got a zero policy tolerance for dumb. I mean, if there's a legitimately close play that demands no matter what, even if you're right, you might get some. That's part of the game. I have zero problem with that, but I almost never get. It's just impossible levels of dumb. They just decide that it's somehow they have a script. They have to come out. They have to say this thing, and it doesn't go well for them.
You can plead the fifth on this, but I have to ask: have you ever done a makeup call? Or even if it was a ball and a strike call, makeup call?
Yeah, in a manner of speaking, it's not because you not if you blow like a giant play safe out on the bases or something like that, but with balls and strikes, the simple fact of the matter, even now, you know, being locked in all the time, you can get blocked out by a catcher. Mm-hmm. You sometimes you catch yourself in the middle of a game where the pitching is up and down and all over the place. Right. And on one particular pitch, you'll see you'll kind of jump the gun, and timing for a plate umpire is so important. You're supposed to, make sure that ball hits the mitt and give yourself a second, think it, then say it. But I mean, it happened. It's the fourth inning. It's 90 degrees. Yeah. The pitchers have been terrible, and so breaks off a curveball that you didn't see coming, and you just say it too fast. And so
I can see that.
The next time, but you're.
Have you ever blown a call so badly that?
No.
To make up for it, that strike zone just got a little bigger for that pitcher because I really just jobbed him out of that play at third. No?
No. I'm not going to say that doesn't happen with others,
Right.
but that's just a way to keep digging the hole further.
Yeah.
I mean, a better way to deal with this at any level, if you just kick one, and you may not get the grace for admitting it, but just say, listen, I got it wrong, and move on.
Yep. Do you wait till after the game to say that, or do you do it during the game?
At the end of my year, and I was kind of in a really salty mood because I tried to get off to go back for my best friend's wedding, and they wouldn't let me go. So, I'm just umpiring the whatever teams I'm umpiring.
Yeah.
It was the Blue Jays.
Short
It was the Blue
huh?
Jays, the minor league Blue Jays, and I was, and he came out and argued something. It wouldn't have been a big deal. I actually, because I was in a bad mood, made it a bad deal.
Oh.
And I didn't have to kick him out or anything, but we just got into it. But I didn't say it. So then I let the season come to an end. And the last time I had the Blue Jays again, and it was after the game, because I didn't want it to be about any quid pro quo or anything. I just wanted to let him know after the season. I said, you remember that? Because he never treated me badly the rest of I needed to tell you now that it was done, that I didn't bring my best self to the game that day. I made that situation, and he was just like a dude. He just said, man, I really appreciate you saying something like that.
Cool,
that's really nice.
That is cool. Very cool. So you're a music fan. You like pretty much every genre, because I'm
a casual music fan. I love music, but I'm not in any way
I love
out.
The answer. I love the answer you gave in the email. Yeah, I'm a 70s through 90s generalist. Generalist, that's a great way to say, yeah, I love lots of music. But I like that the last song that you played on repeat was Sound of Silence by Disturbed, which is absolutely one of the greatest covers of all time. And it got me to thinking, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, because I doodled some notes here off in the column here, of just great covers that are up there, like that Sound of Silence cover by Disturbed, because they almost own that song now, really, if you ask me. But I got to thinking,
I don't know how that happened. I still remember where I was, who I was with.
Yeah.
When I heard that. I'm driving in the car taking my oldest daughter, the one who just won track, and so this is, I don't know, when did that come out, man? Has it been out for 3 years, 4 years?
It's been a while.
I'm driving in the car, and they announce it on the radio, and I'm like, I hadn't heard of Disturbed. I'm not into that. I'm an old man now. I'm not into that scene, and I was just like, this is going to be the dumbest cover I've ever heard in my life. It's not only Simon and Garfunkel, but it's like Simon and arguably their greatest work.
I don't even think that's what's so wild, man. I think of Disturbed now when I hear that title.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I remember, and so I'm saying this, and my daughter's hearing me this, and it's happening. And I'm like really fast, like, oh my! And she's like, what? Because she doesn't even know Simon and Garfunkel, really. I said, Ainsley, that's one of the most profound musical experiences I've ever had, to totally get to the core of that song in an utterly different genre, like just an angry way, not a folksy way, yet beautiful.
I love it.
I'll never stop being moved by remembering the first time I heard that song.
Yeah, and see, the thing about covers is, man, it takes guts to take a song that everybody knows and make it your own, but boy, they sure did it. I think other great covers, and maybe I'll make another. By the way, I keep sending you emails during this conversation, just so you know. I've sent you the Rangers schedule.
I got to turn my computer back on. I wasn't sure if we were going to be on video, so I turned it off, but I'm turning it on now.
No, I sent you the Rangers schedule for August, and I sent you the Braves Cardinals wild card, and now I think I'm going to also send you a list of cover songs to check out, since I scratched them here on my notes there. Jeff Buckley owns Hallelujah now, okay, instead of Leonard Cohen. Have you ever heard of a band called Knox Hamilton? They covered a song by the Association, Never My Love. I mean, these are just songs that these second artists took and just ran with it. And so anyway, I think Disturbed is a great song to have as a song on repeat for sure. Did you get your computer fired up there?
I'm working on it, but now you're proving, because I haven't heard of any of the songs you're talking of other than Leonard Cohen. You're proving why I'm a music generalist. I don't go very deep on this.
Okay, very good. Man, my stupid headphones, it's just dropping in and out. So I just remembered that I've got a roll of duct tape right here. And that's going to
get her done.
That's going to
get her done.
There we go. Oh, yeah. There it is. One more just for good measure. Here we go. Okay, I'm good now. We'll get back to our visit with Todd Erzen momentarily, but did you know that marijuana was outlawed way back in 1937 in the United States? And the history around its banning in this country is eye-opening. The name marijuana itself was part of a campaign to turn U.S. citizens against cannabis. Well, CBD can get you well without getting you high. And feeling well is what people like Dennis find when they use Dr. Monroe's pain cream. See, there's a gentleman by the name of Dennis. Dennis was a jock. He loved playing sports. He played baseball in college. He enjoyed playing ball with his sons later as a dad, but oftentimes afterward his shoulder would ache for hours. And after trying Dr. Monroe's pain cream, the pain was gone within 15 minutes. Now he continues to enjoy playing with his sons and looks forward to many more years ahead of being pain-free. I hope you'll head over to drmonroescbd.com, give it a risk-free try, get your money back if it doesn't do wonders for you. And right now, 20% of your purchase price goes to help abused children through the Child Help Organization. Do good for children while improving your own quality of life. Head over to drmonroescbd.com. That's drmonroescbd.com. I want to talk to you about the latest book that you and Steve wrote. Tell us all about it and why people need to read this. Why this may be the most important book that they read in the year 2021.
I've had this conversation over and over again in doing, I don't know, at least 24 radio hits in the last month and a half promoting the book. And it was refreshing. I did not expect that there wasn't an exception. Everybody was right there with us. And these are obviously, conservative talk shows but in red states and blue states. But I expected more to be like kind of halfway there. And they didn't know all the details of the book, but even in attitude, just like still a little gun shy to think how much this whole thing was nonsense at level after level after level, even though I know it was hard to believe out of the gate at the very beginning. But everybody is just fed up. Everybody would have no problem with Fauci getting a perp walk. I thought I'd have to kind of walk them the next couple of steps. No, they're there. They've got the torches and the pitchforks, which gives me great hope. And because this book, it's about Fauci and it's about COVID, but fundamentally it's in the subtitle. It's about him being the most dangerous bureaucrat in America. And he's a poster child for our bureaucratic and expert culture that has utterly failed us. And they fail us because they don't care about us or they hold us in contempt. They largely, even though they live between the borders that we have, they aren't Americans in any fundamental way anymore. So this really is about taking our country back, because the prayer that I can't wait to get back to normal. I want to go to you in the Rangers game and have it be full and all of that. I absolutely want that. But normal as it was sucked. in many ways because it got us here. We've become soft, fat, lazy, and we don't want to do the hard work of we, the people, anymore. And there's no way around that. Whatever country you think you're returning to will not have any connection to the founding for very much longer if all you do is want to slide into this return to normal. I say on the show all the time, we have this gated community effect. We just want to be protected and comfortable. That's not something the citizen of this country can ultimately fall prey to. We're the ones who have always got to be the baseline for whatever happens here, not these experts, because experts by definition should be held to the highest level of accountability. And now they're held to almost none. What consequences are paid for the degree to which all of these scientists have been wrong and demonstratively so over and over again? No, well, if you think returning to normal is just going to happen, I'll tell you, it's the Rahm Emanuel effect. What's the next crisis going to be? I sure as hell didn't expect before COVID that we'd spend the last 5 years talking about what's a guy, what's a gal, what's a bathroom. Yet there we were, and it's going to be just as crazy in the future. If we're all in this together, we're not just experts running it, and everybody else just mask up until we die. We're increasingly falling prey to lazy, cultish thinking, and I want no part of it, and neither does Steve, and that's why we wrote this book.
Yeah, very good. That's well said. I don't know that I can add anything to that other than yes, everything Todd just said. So
it's been exhausting, man.
Yeah, and it seems like yes. It wears you out because you have to talk about this stuff day after day after day, and you just made the point in your answer right there. It's like in the normal times is us talking about it. We are getting further and further out of phase. It's enough to grind you into the ground, and you got to figure out a way to power through. But you're absolutely right. We are also drifting further and further from the vision of the founders, and that is the most depressing thing to see, because you have kids, I have kids, and what world are they inheriting? My goodness. And I think that segues nicely into Twitter, because that was your answer to your favorite app, and that's probably, I would say it's my most used app. I don't know if it's my favorite one, but I love how you describe it. It's a beautiful rock fight. That is such a great description, because my goodness, there is a lot to love and there's a lot to despise over there. How do you personally, I don't know, not let it enrage you like, say, when the umpiring folks wouldn't let you go out of town? You know, like, how do you not let it affect you in a negative way? Because there's a lot there that can do that.
Well, I have no problem putting it down. Mm-hmm. I'm not always on like my phone. I'm not a big tech guy in general. So I don't have a long list of apps or things I use to begin with. But Twitter is like umpiring to me in terms of how I deal with these high school umpires I told you about. This isn't my first rodeo. I think because you can easily forget there's humans on the other side of things. You need to police yourself and make sure you don't dehumanize this entire thing. But it's all the beautiful rock fight. This is a unique place where it's Socratic dialogue, taking ideas and the utter stupidity behind many of them these days, and just making sure people feel the wounds of their stupidity, not because you hate them, but because how much dumber can it get before we can't salvage this thing? And so I that's why I think and it's easier to do it. Really, I mean, really, if you have to do this in person to people, and increasingly those moments do need to be taken, that it's a level of embarrassing that you understand is needed and on some level, but you feel bad too, because I mean, you raise kids, mm-hmm. I raise kids, and I've got easy, my daughters have been easy, but there's, and it's all relative, but there are woodshed moments where you say, you in their innocence and their youth, but where they did this and say, oh, no. You don't ever mistake this for a choice you have in your life. That's not how this works. Now, elevate times a million to adults who say and do the ridiculous things they do. And now, again, if wouldn't you rather do this on Twitter than what we're seeing now? I mean, there are subsections of Hamas taking over the streets of New York right now and stoning Jews. I'm not being hyperbolic. That's actually happening. So I have no problem taking care of this on Twitter as an alternative to that. These ideas need to be put in and it's right. And right now, make them deplatform all of that's what it comes to. Make these people make the public at large who keep thinking that there can be some return to normal. No. Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? Who are the ones who are the real tyrants? And I find, generally, I've got a lot done, and even at a local level, using Twitter. If it went away, thinking of how I would have drawn attention to attentions I've done in local school district issues, Twitter has been as useful a weapon as I've had to shine a spotlight on people that like to only do things behind the scenes. And they get away for it for a very long time, especially in education, because people are drunk on the notion it's for the children. We all come to this with good intentions. Well, if you still believe this now, after watching the last year and what the teachers usually say, hey, in my particular case, I've had some instances, but my kids have been in school this entire year. My school district has done a great job. And I've chosen my school district because it's kind of semi-rural exurb of Des Moines. I knew that's why, but in inner city Des Moines, in wealthy suburb, big school Des Moines, the teachers' unions absolutely shut those things down. Twitter's a useful tool to make sure that they don't get away with that.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So true. Favorite food are wings, but we need to break this down a little bit here. Because I love the boneless wings. Am I a freak? Because whenever I go...
That's not a chicken wing.
See, but when I go to...
You shouldn't be ashamed or anything.
I'm not. I just feel so alone and on this island when I go and I get boneless wings, and I love the dry rubs at the BW3. You got the salt and vinegar and the lemon pepper.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like I'm the only person that orders boneless wings. There's just too much going on with I'm a messy enough eater as it is. I don't need help from actual chicken wings. You know what I'm saying? But I know I'm weird.
It's just it's caveman mode, you know. There needs to be bone in there, you know. There needs to be the sign of the kill. But there's nothing wrong with a delicious, you know. You're basically eating an upgrade of chicken nuggets, and as long as you're fine with that, I'm cool. I'd eat with you and share a beer. I'd have you at my table eating boneless chicken wings.
What is your favorite beer, by the way? Because you list that as something that cheers you up. I love that answer. Amen.
I'm not a beer snob. And those who are drive me. I love craft beer. I love IPAs. I also am a old man who can only have so many of those and not, you know, and then be functional in the morning. Yet, you know, you can buy a 6-pack of Bud Light Lime and get through all of those and be just fine in the morning.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just, and is there any at a ball game? Listen, I know there's all kinds of craft beers, but the simple fact of the matter is just a good solid ball game dog, nachos with jalapenos, and a big huge Miller Lite. I mean, that's worth the stuff that makes life worth living.
And Bud Light Lime is completely underrated. So that's an excellent choice. I will say
Agreed.
that they. I've lived in Texas now for the last decade. But Shiner Beer, is that up in your neck of the woods as well, or is that just a Texas thing? Because they make some great seasonal flavors. Like the one that I love is the strawberry blonde, and you know it's only every now. I mean that early part of the year there, but I mean I'm a Blue Moon guy. You know, I don't need the fancy beers. I appreciate them, and the people that can create them in their basements or what have you. I think that's an incredible talent that I wish I had. But yeah, I mean, as long as and plus, after you get a couple 3 in, then they're just maintainer beers. Then it's like it doesn't matter what the flavor is at that point, right? So,
correct. Yeah, I'm not. Have you had any of these sours?
Yes. I'm trying to think of which. It's been a while, but I know what I love. I love the Salty Lady. That's a good one. I don't know if you're familiar. It might be local. I think that's local.
am not.
There's a lot of local stuff
Here's my problem with I just want, when I go to get a beer, I just want it to do what I want it to do. And I'm not in the mode of needing to experiment.
Right.
So I kind of want to have a sour, but then when I actually go to have the beer, nah, I'm not in the mood to. Let's just go with what I know.
Somebody brought a pickled beer and put it in the fridge. And in fact, Rob Chickering, early episode here of At the Mic, he brought a beer and put my name on it here at the Blaze, and it was a pickled beer or something. That was the nastiest thing. I mean, I didn't even take a full sip because I knew trouble was waiting for me. That thing is nasty. I don't need to get that creative with my brews, okay?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like I said. It sounds like at a Rangers game, you and I will pretty much end up in the same frame of mind. A Bud Light will do just fine.
We'll just argue about balls and strikes and the role of umpires in the future of baseball. So.
Oh, that's happening. I can't wait.
If you could go back in history, I love this answer. Who would you like to meet? And you said the founders. Is there anyone specific from that incredible generation of thinkers that created this country? Anyone in particular you wish you could go and talk to and, well, have a beer with at a Rangers game?
It's less about them, any one of them, but them in tandem together, because it's unavoidable that these men would be romanticized. I just want to see how close we got.
Right.
And we've read their diaries. It's not their thought and what they think. It's but the genuine, because you must have seen the John Adams miniseries.
Yes, it was
that
great.
Was based on with Paul
Giamatti.
Giamatti. Is it? I mean, I thought it was brilliant, but I think they got really close to what all of us think their attitudes and their vibes were.
Yep.
But that's what like George Washington. Look at these men of supreme confidence, bordering on arrogance in many respects. The thing that got Adams could be a dandy. Jefferson was just could not suffer fools on any level, yet they had a respect for each other that turned into a hate for each other, that turned into a deathbed love of one another, to the point that they literally died within hours of each other on July 4th. Talk about God's hand on history. I mean, that's absolutely
50 years
wild.
To the day from the Declaration of Independence.
Yes.
On top of
that.
But
these men it's like the NBA, and you and I are from the same, and I'm not a baseball guy first. I'm way more college basketball, but you and I mean, Jordan was God, and appointment television, and all of he's surrounded by Bird and Magic and Ewing and all these guys, though, the reverential tones they speak for Michael Jordan as the greatest of all time. And I don't think any of them have any patience for the notion that LeBron is better than him. I mean, yet they put their supreme confidence aside and anoint Jordan. It's these guys, the founding fathers, seem to be like that with George Washington. So I think, to come back full circle, what level of gravity just oozed off of that man, the degree of respect that he seemed to garner from every walk of life.
I love it. It sure would be nice to go back and, even just for 5 minutes, just as an observer at the Continental Congress.
It seems a cliched answer for guys like you and I in our work, but I can't get past it. I don't have anything original beyond those guys, because
I think it's a perfectly excellent answer.
Good.
Yeah. So I want to go back to your reporter days and tell us about how you got arrested in 2008. That sounds fun.
Oh yeah. It was a blast, man. So, like I said, they weren't real fans of me, anyways. But in 2008, we had the second round of flooding in 15 years that really inundated parts of the city, and so I was doing community news. I had for 3 or 4 days been down with the Corps of Engineers and the National Guard filling sandbags to fill up the levee, or building the levee with the sandbags. I was interviewing all the volunteers who were filling it up the sandbags the homes. I was down in this neighborhood where the people interviewing, they were getting out of their house as quick as they could, trying to get as many belongings to high ground. Because it's weird with a flood, you know, the tornado can surprise you. The hurricane, you usually have some time. And you can see the weather getting worse. This flood thing, I mean, all the rain happens days, if not weeks in advance, and it's just coming downstream through the watershed. And the experts in here, useful, very useful, have picked the day and the time where they think it's likely to crest, and then it either happens or it doesn't. So you're racing against time. There's definitely this tension, but like the damage in terms of the water, it's all been done. You're under blue skies, and there may be no more rain in the forecast, but it's coming nonetheless. So it's weird, and so you're down, and the water is the ground is so saturated. It's a blue sky. It's not raining at all, but water is coming out of the seams in the pavement like geysers. And I'm not just talking about like they're as high as a man. The water is just shooting out of the ground in several places. That's how saturated it was. So I've been doing that for days. And then finally, they got the announcement the water was not going to go over the levee. They were just going to make it. So went to bed that night thinking it's fine. I get a call at 3 a.m. in the morning. The levee burst. And water came rushing through, flooded out this neighborhood, the one I was talking to you about, a high school downtown. And and at the time, I'm still in pretty good shape. I used to run marathons and triathlons. And so I said, wake up, grab your camera. And I was told, run down the broken levee and get a shot of it as the sun rises, which I did. Now, had I been caught by police then, I would have had way more cause, and still none, but to be possibly arrested and in danger in any way, shape, or form than I ever was when I was finally arrested. So hours pass. I'm just walking around the flooded businesses, homes, getting or nearby, getting as close as I can, seeing who's down there. There's people down there. There's but like I said, this is the damage. Even now that the levee is broke, it's done. The water's there. Now you have to wait for it to go away. And so I happened to walk down a corner and walk upon a corner I'd walked past many times before, but this time they did a makeshift police station just to kind of everybody collect here, see what we got to do. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know they were there. And so they said, no, you got to leave. And so that's fine. I left. At least an hour later, came back to the same area. Like I said, the cops are all gone. There's a bunch of people watching in the exact same area. The water is at least 100 yards away from us. And I'm walking around interviewing people. And the same cop who told me to get out of there saw me. And he's in his car. And instantly he guns it. And just drives up onto me like I'm literally holding somebody at gunpoint, and gets out and says, I told you not to be here. I said, well, you told me not to be there when you wanted to have your little powwow. I said, now I said, I'm surrounded by people. He said, no, I told you not to. I said, you can't tell me not to be here. And he said, oh, yes, I can. I said, oh, no, you cannot. And he said, fine, you're under arrest.
Wow.
And and so I was handcuffed and put in the back of the police car, and
in front of everyone.
In front of everybody. I mean, it was so absurd. Ultimately, I was charged with trespassing, interference with official acts, resisting arrest, and assaulting a police officer. And they did all this because I'm arguing with them as I'm being led to the car. I cussed once, but I was not yelling and screaming, but I was arguing with them, just telling you, I can't believe you guys think this is going anywhere for you. And they probably found that embarrassing because like everything we've talked about with umpiring and all that, like, I guess I'm just supposed to shut up. Well, that's not going to happen. So in the back of the police car, while I'm cuffed, the police officer, not that initially told me to leave or drive or drove up on me, but his assistant he put his hands around my throat and started choking me.
Whoa.
And telling me to shut the blank up. And he choked me so hard, I remember I was fading to black. I mean, he was a pretty big, strong guy. Yeah, I felt myself losing consciousness, but I ultimately didn't. And so then we get to the police station, and they take me out of the car, and I don't know if they got the call there, but there was a bunch of police just standing out there waiting to see what was going to happen. And so all right there, I instantly start telling, I'm surrounded by like 20 cops. I tell every single one of them what happened. And the other two who arrested me and who did this to me, he never shuts up. He never shuts up. I said, no, everybody. I wanted them to see how consistent my story was over and over again. And it ultimately, so it goes to trial. They charged me with those things because they were trying to cover up what they did. I was only found guilty of the interference with official acts, which is, if you know, it's kind of, I mean, I've gathered police reports for a long career. It's like it's the catch-all to get you of something,
right?
No matter what. And ultimately, I mean, I don't even know what their rhyme or reasoning for finding me guilty of that was. But I mean, I there's not a thing I regret. There's not a thing I'd change. I didn't do any of the things the cops charged me of. So I've got this unique position on this show where I am in no way anti-police. They've got an incredibly tough job. I also, if you're a conservative, you have to understand that you can't be government must be accountable to the people, and then say the branch of government that actually has the guns get to do whatever they want to, because that doesn't work. That's not a conservative position.
Thank you. I would just say you got street cred, man.
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, it's interesting. People are fascinated to hear that. Some people I've had some Twitter conversations especially early on in this year, where cops were arresting moms on playgrounds for COVID. And a bunch of people wanted to tell these cops have a hard job. Listen, there's video cops in Ontario of arresting people for shaking hands. Just following orders. That's never just going to work for me. And no matter who you are, you ultimately need to go to bed at night. And if you think you're doing the work of protecting and serving the people who employ you, by treating them like that, that's not a conservative position, and conservatives just shouldn't have it.
Absolutely. Do you get this fighting spirit from your parents? Tell us about them.
Oh, well, my parents are both gone now. My mom died. I said my anniversary is
2002.
My anniversary is coming up. Yeah, so she died like 3 months before I got married. She's been gone a while.
I'm sorry.
My got leukemia. Yeah, it all sucks. Didn't get to meet my 4 beautiful daughters. And then my dad he died about a week before the lockdowns.
Yeah, so early 2020, huh?
And the timing behind all that. I mean, he may have died of COVID because the way it hit, they said it was pneumonia. And he was in bad health. He was 72 years old, but he's the kind of guy with comorbidities that would be laid out by COVID or pneumonia, or his kidneys were starting to fail, and this really got that going. And he really made his peace. They said dialysis, and you're going to be living in a home. You're not going to be able to do this on your own, and we can't guarantee how much time you have left. And he's where I get my fire from, but his life from the time my mom died was very, very hard. He never was recovered. I mean, it broke him in many ways. My mom was the closest thing to a saint I've ever met. My dad is in no way was a saint, and he knew to the core what he had lost, and he was never just the same functioning human being. But I was so proud of him, as my brother and sister were in the end. He really looked that thing in the eye and said, I'm not afraid. I want to go out with you guys proud of me. And we were, and to know that if the people in the hospital, and this is a veterans hospital, he served in the Navy, in the junior intelligence kind of officer thing. But you walk into that and there's physically broken people and who are alone. And the nurses kept saying how inspiring it was for them because family, friends coming in. It was beautiful. And we were there. And if this had happened a week and a half later, he would have been alone.
God.
Because so I'm absolutely grateful of the timing for it. It would have been brutal beyond words had it happened. It was going to happen sooner or later. So there was a lot of grace that my brother, my sister, and I were lucky enough to witness and take with us for the rest of our lives.
You hope to visit Jerusalem someday and attend the Olympics.
Jerusalem, wow. I mean, that seems like it just got a lot further away. And again, like the Founding Fathers, this seems like I just want to walk on that earth. I want to go down the Via Dolorosa. I want to be in the space and time of the greatest ghosts of the past. I'm being a hopeless romantic now, but I can't not be. And the Olympics for me is just like the World Cup. I get mocked a lot on the show for believing.
Hold on, is it winter or summer you would prefer to attend, or both?
Well, I would love to go to either. I'm a skier as well, but I think if I had to choose, I would choose the Summer Olympics. Obviously, track and field has meant a lot to my family, and I think there's just more sports. But I love, and it's why I like airports. I like these crossroads of humanity. It's why I like the Iowa State Fair. But to be at Steve calls himself the ugly American. So, it's Super Bowl or bust for him. He would hate being at the Olympics. I mean, that's the best of us. That's what, all of this nonsense and hatred, where we put the nonsense aside and the human spirit on every level is allowed to flourish. And you see that person who's looks different from you, is a different gender from you, but it's the same pursuit to something good, true, and beautiful that we were designed to be a part of. The food, the different languges, the Tower of Babel would still be there, but it's there in a way that people seem to like at this moment. I want to put everything else aside. I want to chip away at that tower and make it as short and small and insignificant as possible. I would love, before my time is over, to be part of and it would be Olympics in a foreign country. I absolutely want to go to the ones that happen down the road here that are planned for North America. In LA, and a shared experience. And no, is that the World Cup? I think the World Cup's doing that. They're sharing it between Mexico, Canada, and North American sites. But I want to go to a faraway place and just absorb for 2 weeks that culture.
That's cool. So you want, I see, you want the whole start to finish experience, huh? That's cool.
Yes, it would be, I mean, from beginning to end, opening ceremonies, closing ceremonies, all of that.
Very cool.
I mean, I'm like a team sport, all of the classic Americana. I can't think of a greater moment than to win a gold medal and to stand there having the national anthem played for you. I will watch that over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if it's the badminton team that's the Americans played it. I mean, it is all these American haters who think they've gone woke or something. Uh-huh. I deny you to go up there and take a knee when that's happening. Even you, Megan Rapinoe, you spoiled little brat.
So my Olympic experience was a little different. I always wanted to go to the Olympics as well. I didn't need the full immersion in the experience that you're describing, but my wife and I went to the Atlanta Olympics in 1996, and I still have the ticket stubs. I forgot if they were $6 or $8. It was to field hockey, and we just wanted to go and just say that we went. And I know the U.S. was playing in the second game. We didn't even make it to the second game. It was hot, and we were miserable, but we went to the game that preceded the American game, and we sat right in the middle. We didn't choose sides. Now keep this in mind, okay, as I unfold this for you. I was not familiar way back when I was 20 years old of the two countries, by the way, that were playing each other, India and Pakistan.
Wow.
We sat in the middle. We were Kashmir. And the yelling back and forth between those two sets of fans, we were like, what? They're going to fight right here, and we're going to be right in the middle of it. And in hindsight, it was the perfect description of what Kashmir is to India and Pakistan. By the way, to make matters worse, the game ended in a 0-0 tie. I do remember that.
Wow.
Before we go, where can people find you online? Give us the name of the book, everything.
Well, you can find me on Twitter. I'm Deace Online. That's pretty much it. I don't I keep Facebook mostly personal. But other than that, we are obviously here at the Steve Deace Show from noon to 2 Eastern Time on Blaze TV every day. And of course, Fauci and Bargain. Let's get it back on the bestseller list. There's obviously the news cycle. There's all the more reason than ever to read it now. You can find that at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
Todd Erzen of the Steve Deace program on Blaze TV. Thanks so much for making time. Really appreciate it, man.
It's been a blast, man. Honored to be asked and fun to do this kind of work with people like you, Keith. I'm really, really appreciative.
It was so great getting a chance to sit down and talk with Todd and getting to know him and his life story. I'll say that he and I will have to agree to disagree about the role of instant replay in baseball. However, that's we'll have to continue that discussion when he visits down here in Dallas next month. If you know a fan of the Steve Deace program, someone who enjoys Todd's work on that show, and be sure to share this particular podcast with them so they can get to know more about Todd as well. In fact, a while back, Steve Deace himself sat down with me. If you would like to share that episode as well, you can find both of them over at themikeshow.com. Next week, I'm going to sit down with a former Blaze personality, the very funny Jack Helmuth, as we catch up on what he's been up to lately. That's a week from now when that podcast drops through our webpage at themikeshow.com. I hope you'll join us then. Until then, please go be free, and thanks for listening.
This has been At the Mic with Keith, an independent podcast production. Head to atthemikeshow.com for archived episodes, sponsor information, and ways to connect.
Hey, did you know there's At the Mike Show merchandise now? Yeah, and it's currently at a big discount for a limited time. Head to atthemikeshow.com, look for the shop button at the top of the page, or make it easier on yourself and head to atthemikeshop.com. Enter in code FIRSTTIMEBUY at checkout, and you're going to get $5 off and free shipping on orders over $55. That's offer code FIRSTTIMEBUY at atthemikeshop.com.